welcome to Wednesday's edition of Cracking the Cryptic, where the eagle-eyed amongst you will be able to tell that this is not a Sudoku we're going to be doing today. It's a rare day on the channel because I'm going to get to do a puzzle, a pencil puzzle. This is called Kukuru Kropki number 2 by the young genius Freddie Hand. Freddie is one of the world's very finest puzzle solvers, one of the fastest in the world, and also as we know from the channel, because we've done Freddie's puzzles a few times, he is a brilliant setter. And we've had this recommended 2 or 3 times to us. And the testers say that this is an absolutely beautiful puzzle. So I'm looking forward to having a go at it. I don't get to do Kropki very often. I don't get to do pencil puzzles on the channel very often, so it's exciting for me. And I'll read you the rules in just a moment. First thing I want to say is a huge thank you to everybody who joined me on the Witness stream last night. That was the 5th episode. I only got 1 beam done, but I had a lot of fun, and it was lovely to have your company. And thanks so much to those of you who donated as well, especially those who did Norwegian dollars. I'm never going to let Mark live that down, but yeah, I will be back to it probably Sunday. That's looking like it'll be the best day for me. So 10 o'clock Sunday night, hopefully it'll be The Witness episode 6. Now the other big news today, of course, is the 1st of September. And that it means 2 things for anybody who's a patron of the channel over on Patreon. The first thing it means is that your Patreon reward is released. In fact, it's released right now, and it's a Looney Tunes Sudoku hunt. So have a go at it, and then if you manage to get through it, send us the solution that you get at the very end to crackingthecryptic@gmail.com for a chance to win some merchandise. And also, if you were struggling with last month's Patreon reward, we have now released a video showing you how to solve that. So that's Heatwave by Grockles, of course. 10 puzzles in that. Some of the earlier puzzles in particular were quite tricky. So there's a solution video for all our $3 patrons over on Patreon right now. And that's all I've got to tell you, I think. So let's have a look at this one, and I'll read you the rules. We've got enter a single digit from 1 to 9 into each white cell, so that the sum of digits in each across entry equals the value given to the left of the entry. Oh, value given to the left of the entry if given. Oh, I see, because many of these entries here don't have clues, look. Right. No digit. Oh, sorry, and then and the sum of the digits in each down entry equals the value given above the entry if given. So those 3 squares there add up to 12. Those 3 add up to 16, those 3 add up to 21, etc. No digit may be repeated within a single entry, so that means you can't put sort of double 9, 3 into those 3 cells, because that would repeat the 9. Now, a white circle between 2 cells shows that the digits in those cells are consecutive, i.e. they differ by 1, so that's normal Kropki rules. So that means that if that's a 4, for example, that could be a 5 or it could be a 3. We just have to make sure that white dots contain consecutive digits. A black circle shows that the digit in one of the cells has twice the value of the other. So that's normal black Kropki rules. Now there is a negative constraint today. Look at this. If there is no circle between adjacent cells, neither of these properties holds. Brackets note between 1 and 2 either a white or a black circle can be given. Right, well, let's have a think about all of these rules then. So this is saying that if we look at this domino, not only can this domino not contain consecutive digits, it also can't contain digits in a ratio of 1 to 2. So that is a powerful constraint. And actually the more Sudoku puzzles we've been doing recently that have Kropki features to them have not used the negative constraint. So this will be, I'll have to dust off the rust, I think, in order to get through this. Anyway, do have a go. The way to play, of course, is to click the link under the video as usual. Now I get to play. Let's get cracking. And I have no clue about how difficult this puzzle is. So you'll have a better idea than me if this video has gone live, because you'll be able to see the length of the video. There's a 32 clue here, which, well, I think that has some optionality. The highest I can make 5 digits is obviously if I use 5, 6, 7, 8 and 9, that's 35. So there are some degrees of freedom there, and we have got a white dot on it. Do we know, does there have to be a 9 in a 32 clue? What's 8 plus 7 plus 6 plus 5 plus 4? Only 30. Right, so there is definitely a 9 and an 8 therefore. Let's just double check. 9, 7, 6. Yes, there is definitely a 9 and an 8 in this run of digits. Let's pencil mark that in a bit of an extravagant fashion. In fact, look, that could well be a 9 and an 8 there. Look, on the white Kropke dot. Okay. Wow. I mean, actually, as I stare at the grid now, I'm only just beginning to appreciate how few clues there are. There are great swathes of the grid where there are no clues at all. So this must be very constrained by something. So what do we do here? Do we sort of... I'm a bit reluctant to look at clues like this because at first blush at least, this digit here can be a lot of different things. I suppose a white Kropke dot always adds up to an odd number, doesn't it? Because it will contain an odd and an even number. So that square there has got to be, if that domino is odd, 12 is even, so we need an odd digit here and an odd digit there. Is this a parity puzzle? Ah, yes, that might be a sensible thought, because I'm just noticing not only are those two squares both odd, but look, we've got an 18 clue here with again a white Kropke dot, so those two squares are odd, which means that must be odd. So those 3 digits there are all odd. Although that might be where the trail runs dry. Let me just stare at this for a second. I'm actually going to label these cells. What am I meant to use for odd digits? Odd is orange, isn't it? Because they both begin with O. I have to remember things like this. So those 3 squares are odd. This is a 9-cell entry, so there are 5 odd digits to find in this row. Now... problem is, I don't think we've got this. No, it's actually a bit strange, isn't it? We don't seem to know anything about those 6 cells. I don't know. What we might have to do is literally go through every clue and see whether for some reason there is a restriction. That square's got to be even because this is an odd total, and we know that domino adds to an odd square. So odd is blue, isn't it? So if this is 2, 4, 6 or 8, I'm just wondering whether this is what we're meant to do. So if we go 2 here, because these are consecutive, they have to be a 5 and a 6. But no, I don't like that. I don't like that, but that's just going to lead me to a whole world of pencil marking. Because if that's 2, let's just do this and just prove it to ourselves. That's 5, 6 with no restriction. If that's 4, 4 doesn't work. Because then those 2 have to add up to 9. So maybe this is what we're meant to do. And you can't, and they have to be consecutive, so they have to be 4 and 5, and you can't repeat 4 in the entry. 6 means those are 3 and 4. Which, that's a marginal restriction because you couldn't put the 3 next to the 6 because there should be a black Kropke dot between them. So the 3 would have to go there, the 4 would go there. And 8, you see 8 is 2, 3. So look what I'm going to get here. I'm going to get the horrible, horrible sequence of Goodlive-esque pencil. I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it yet anyway. That does not feel to me like it's going to be a very productive way to spend my time. That's got to be even as well. Look, we've got a 15 clue here with an odd domino, so that's even. 15 clue. Well, obviously that's either 6, 9 or 7, 8. Well, It's not 7, 8. It's not 7, 8 because there's no white dot. So that's 6, 9. That's the sort of thing that I'm going to miss all over the place in this puzzle. Yeah, okay, yes, 12. How do you do 12? And the answer is, I don't know, but I've just realised it's not 4, 8. Because if it's 4 and 8, there should be a black Kropki dot. There's no black Kropki dot, so it's not 4, 8. Ah, so those two digits are odd. They're both, well, they're either 5 and 7, or they're 3 and 9. And presumably we don't have a way of working out which. 21, those are odd. Oh, hang on a moment. Ah, yes. Right. Ah, I'm going to get a digit. I've got a digit. Right, good. Look at this. 21 clue. Those are odd. So that must be even, because 21 is odd. So that's even. Now look here. I didn't notice this, but I've just noticed it now. This square, this is odd. That's odd. So that's got to be even to maintain the parity. Now, in this entry here, I've used up all 4 of the even numbers that are permissible. So that means that the rest of this column is odd digits, and that means this square cannot be a 6. That's gorgeous. That is gorgeous. Okay, now we're off. We get a 4th odd digit in this row, so there's only one more odd digit to find. And this square, well, I can see it's even, but it's not 8, because 8's consecutive with 9 and there's no white dot. So that's 2, 4, or 6. Right, it's not 2, because these are consecutive, so they'd be a 6 and a 7, neither of which you could put next to a 6, because there's no white dot joining it. This is lovely. This is really lovely. Now, if this is 4, if 4 is the same, 4, if you put 4 in there, you've got to put 5 and 6 in these two squares, and this square can be neither. No white dot joining that domino together. So that is just left with the ability to be 6, which means those two squares add up to 9. They must be consecutive, so they're 4 and 5. You can't put 5 next to the 6 because there's no white dot, and we get more digits. Now, tempted to keep going with this. So this square now is odd, and it can't be 5 or 7 because, oh no, and it can't, oh right, yeah, this square is just given. It's a given because the options for it, it's odd, and it can in theory be 1, 3, 5 or 7. Well, if it was 3, there should be a black Kropki dot. If there was 5 or 7, there should be a white Kropki dot, so that's a 1. Which means those squares now are 3, 5, 7 or 9. Is that one restricted? That's the next question. So, well, it can't be 2 because that would be consecutive with 1. It can't be 3, that would be consecutive with 4. And it can't be 5 because that would be consecutive with 4, and it can't be 6. So that is 7. Oh, this is, oh, it's odd. It's got to be odd. It's got to be odd because it can't be 8 because it's next to a 4, and that would need a black Kropki dot. So that's odd. And now look, I've got 5 odds in this row, which means the rest of this row acquires the status of evenness. Now, that's even, therefore, and I can see it's not 4 or 6 because it's next to a 5. So that's 2 or 8, and it can't be 8 because it's next to a 7 or a 9. Freddy hand, already I can tell you to take a bow. This is just ridiculous. It is ridiculously clever. 4, 6 and 8 over here. Now, yeah, okay, 4, 6 and 8 over here. Well, what digits can't we put together in a domino? Either that domino or that domino cannot be a 4-8 pair because there's no black dot. So the 6 has to play gooseberry and separate the 4 and the 8, the 4 and the 8 away from each other. Now that square, look. Oh, this is... It is like the numbers are dancing. It is just choreographed like you wouldn't believe. Look at this square. This can no longer be 3 because there's no black Kropki dot. It can't be 5 or 7. There's no white Kropki dot. So it is a 9, which means that's a 3. Now this square can't be a 4. There's no white Kropki dot. Good grief. Now, I'm guessing we can't do that, can we? Well, actually, I can. Well, at least I know that this square here can't be even. Because if it's even, its only option, there's already an 8 in its entry, is 2, 4 or 6, none of which are possible, to go next to 3. There's no white or black dot there. So that's an odd digit, which means that's an even digit. I'm not sure if this matters yet, but let's double check. So this is even, it's not 8 or 6, so it's 2 or 4, and therefore that square, which is not 3, is 1 or 5. Now there's probably a way of resolving this, but I can't see it immediately. So I think the expression I'm looking for is bobbins. Right, let's have a look somewhere else. We shall have a look at, where is the natural place to look here? Is it this square with the 21 clue and this having to be even and not being a 6 or a 2, because 2 is consecutive with 1. So this is 4 or 8. Now, if it's 4, those two have to be an 8-9 pair, and we couldn't put... If that's 4, we couldn't put the 8 next to it. So if that's 4, that's an 8 and that's a 9, which looks actually plausible, doesn't it? Now if that's an 8, these two squares have got to be a 6-7 pair to add up to 13, and we can't put the 7 next to the 8, so the 7 would go there, and that would be a 6. And that can't, I see, and that can't be a 7 because it would be next to a 6. Oh, the simple way of seeing that, yes, of course, is once this is an 8, this square can be neither 6 nor 7. So that's just can't be an 8, that's a 4, which means this square is an 8 and that square's a 9, and we're still going with the logic. It hasn't resolved that one, but let's carry on with our bluing and oranging. Although probably, I'm just thinking, is the blue and orange going to continue to profit us? It might profit us in that row where we have got 9 digits, and that row as well, actually. So there are 2 rows where we might have to consider parity quite carefully. It's 4, 6 here, so these 2 squares are 2 and 8. And surely that's going to put pressure on the odd digits. Oh, yeah, this is just beautiful. Every single deduction in this, I almost said Sudoku. It's not a Sudoku. It's a Kakuru Kropki, and it's number 2. And I'm going to go and seek out number 1 as well after this. Because, right, look at these squares. These squares have got to be 3s, 5s, and 7s. Well, what can this not be? This square definitely sees a 2-8 pair. So it can't be 3 and it can't be 7, because it would, whichever way round you put this, you're going to need a white dot to deal with it. So that's got to be a 5. And now that's not, oh, I see. And now that's not a 5 and it's next to a 4. So that's got to be a 7 because there's no white dot connecting it with a 3. That's a 3. That's no white dot connecting that with a 2. So that's an 8. That's a 2. Now those 2 squares have got to add up to 9 and they're consecutive. Therefore 5, you can't put the 4 next to the 8. So that's 5, that's 4, that's fixing the top of the grid. That's a 2 and that's a 1. Now what do we do? These 2, I suppose. So they add up to 11 and they're 5 and 6 and there's a 5 there. So that's 5, that's 6. Okay. So, have we learnt enough about the world now to... That square can't be a 3, I've just noticed. It's next to a 2, so that's a 5, 7 or a 9. And again, what we could do here is start, you know, really pencil marking those cells. But I just want to resist that for a moment in case there's more, you know, there's more clean magic we can find in the puzzle. Yeah, I mean, this column looks susceptible, doesn't... Oh, hang on. I've got all the even digits in this column now. What does that mean? So that means these are all odd digits. Let's look at this. 1, 3, 5 and 7. Yeah, this is beautiful. This is beautiful. Yes. The way to think about it is what can go next to a 4. In this puzzle, when there's no white dot or black dot, you definitely can't put 3 or 5 next to the 4. Whoopsie, I just made a complete ricket of putting those pencil marks in. But if you can't put 3 and 5 next to those, they must be 1 and 7. And I can see what that's going to mean, because this square is on a black Kropki dot, so it can't be a 7. So that's a 1, which must be next to a 2. That's got to be a 7. Can't see immediately how to do that 3, 5. That's got to be 5 and 6 because we're adding up to 13. 5 and 6. Oh, I've broken the puzzle. Oh, bother. What have I done wrong there? You can't put 5 or 6 next to either. Well, wherever the 6 goes here, it can't exist because it has to be next to a 3 or a 5, and there's no black or white crop. Oh, okay. I see what I did wrong. I somehow assumed that they were on a white Kropki dot. There is no white Kropki dot there, so they don't have to be consecutive. They do have to add to 11, but not in a way that's consecutive. So sorry about that, but it's a good thing. Because that's now, well, these two add to 11. They're not 2, 9. We've just shown they're not 5, 6. They're not 4, 7. Oh, this is gorgeous again. They're not 4, 7, because which one of these do you want to put the 4 in? It's going to be next to a 3 or a 5. That's consecutive, so there should be white Kropki dots. There aren't any. So this can only be 3 and 8, and you can't put the 3 next to the 2. 3, 8, 5, 3, all forced. Okay, so now that square looks restricted to me, but maybe that's wrong. What can that be? Oh no, I think it is wrong actually. It looks like it has got options. I think it can be 1 or 2. It can't be 3, 4. 4 is consecutive with 5. It can't be 6, that's consecutive with 7. And it can't be 8. So this is a 1 or a 2. Which is almost good, but not quite good enough, is it? So, where else should we look? Are there any other cells that look particularly weak? Or have we exhausted our supply of weak cells? Maybe... Also, I want to colour these all in as well. Sorry, that's just annoying me for a moment. Let me just do that so it looks a bit more beautiful. That one is definitely even. Can anyone see an easy win here? Is it Henry, the mild-mannered janitor? Could be. Don't know. Got to remember with this black Kropki dot here, although this looks powerful, this 4, 5 and 8 is in a different entry, so we can't use the fact that there's a 4 and an 8 in the row to restrict this digit. Is it this square that's restricted? I'm not sure. I haven't got a very good feel for this. Let me just have a look at this square. This square can be 1. It can't be 2, 3. Oh, it can be 4, look. It can't be 5, 6, 7. Maybe it can be 8 or 9. Sorry, that was a silly cell to choose. I thought it might go better than that. Maybe I've got to look at this 18 clue then. So what are the options here? If this is a 5, that's a 6, 7 pair. And you'd have to be careful with that. So that would be the 6, that would be the 7. But that looks entirely possible, doesn't it? If that's a 7, these are a 5, 6 pair. And again, we'd have to go 6, 5. Looks possible. And if that's 9, this is a 4, 5 pair, 5, 4. So this is why I don't like doing this. It just feels like there's too many options for how that might work. So, where are we going to actually find more joy? Ah, there's another parity cell here. Yeah, okay, that's an odd domino, so this should be an odd digit. And look, there's already 3 odds in the row. Oh, this is it. That's a 1 or a 9. That's beautiful. It can't be a 9. I can't make those 2 squares add up to 1. So that's a 1 with a 4, 5 pair. There's a 5 here, so that's 5, that's 4. That's no longer 1. Now, this 1, look, is giving me a 2 here as well, which earns the right to be blue, as does this one, and that one doesn't. So now maybe this row is more restricted. I've now got 5 digits in it. So we now need to place 4s, 6s, 8s and 9s. Well, that square's restricted straight away. Because what can you put in there? You can't put 4 in, that's consecutive with 5. You can't put 6 or 8 in. So that is a 9, just straight out of... A 9 can't be consecutive with 8, so that's a 4. Good grief. So now those 2 squares, 2, 3, is a 9 cell entry. So they are 6 and 8. You can't put 8 next to 4. So that's a 6, that's an 8. You can remove 8 from those cells. That one can't be 9 now because... in fact, it's all kicking off, isn't it, with the 9 in this entry. Where you can't put 9 in the white Kropki dot because it would need an 8, and that will repeat the 8 in the entry. So the 9 can only go there. That's beautiful as well. Now we've got 5 thingies in this row, which is probably going to help. And I'm wondering, well, this square's obviously a 5 or a 7. And in fact, those 2 squares have to add up to 12, don't they? So we can remove the 9 from there. Can we do that? We probably can do that. I just can't quite see how. Sorry if you're shouting at me about that one. I can't see how to do it immediately. So I'm going to just do some colouring instead and gloss over my ineptitude. Now, maybe this row. That feels like it's restricted, doesn't it? So we need 3s, 6s, 7s and 8s. Well, that can't be 3, 6 or 7 because it's next to a 6 and there's no Kropki dot, so that must be 8. That's got to be consecutive with a digit that's not 9. Well, that'll be a 7 then. Now, those 2 squares are 3 and 6. Well, 6 can't go next to 5. So this is 3 and this is 6. Now we've got all sorts of even digits going down that column there, look. So let's just do the shading again. We've got all the even digits here. So this is definitely an odd number on a black Kropki dot. So it's either 1 or 3, isn't it? That's the only odd digits you can ever put on a black Kropki dot. Well, it's not 3 because that would be a 6. So that's a 1, that's a 2. And now, probably, if we look down this column, we'll find some joy. Once you get a few digits in this form of Sudoku, it really is powerful. The negative constraint is enormous. So 3s, 7s and 9s, that's obviously got to be a 7 or a 9. It can't be a 3. This square's a naked single. It sees 3 and 7, so that's a 9. It's on a white Kropki dot, so that's an 8. That's a 7 now. This is a 5. This is a 7. That's a 9. So these 2 squares over here now are a 3, 5 pair. Oh, and there's a simple way of doing that, look. If this is a 5, that's a 5 and a 6 to make 11, because they're consecutive. But that's going to repeat 5 in the entry. So that's a 3, that's a 5. That must be a 6, 7 pair adding up to 13. That must be a 3, 4 pair adding up to 7. We can't put 6 next to the 3 because there's no black croppy dots. So 7, 6. Can't put 3 next to 6 here either. 4, 3, 7 to make that add up. Let's do some colouring to make ourselves feel chromatically in sync with the world. That can be done there. And hopefully we're nearly there, I think. Let us have a look at... Well, we've either got sort of negative constraintage going on, or probably we've got arithmetic in this run of digits here, haven't we? What do we need to place along this row? We need 1, 2, 4, 5 and 6. Well, this can't be that low. It can't be 1 or 2, because if we make those 2 digits add up to a maximum of 5, the other 3 digits wouldn't be high enough. So 1, 2, so this has to be, it can't be 4, it's next to an 8, so this is a 5 or a 6. Can't see whether one of those is particularly impossible. 1, 2, 4, 5, 6. So that square definitely can be 1. It can't be 4 or 5 or 6. 1, 2, 1. Can't be 2, 4. This is just a naked single, I think, isn't it? 2, 4, 5. Yeah, it's going to only be a 1. So this square also can't be 2 or 4. So that, and it can't, that one can't be 6. So this is 5. This is 6. Now this is 5 or 7. Don't know if we can tell which. Let's work this out then. So if this is 7, those are adding up to 30, and this is a 2. If this is 5, these are adding up to 28, and that's a 4, which clashes because there's no ability for these to be consecutive. So it is 2 and 7. It's 2 and 7. Now, unfortunately, the checker will not work. So what we're going to have to do today is I will have a look during the editing of this puzzle and see whether it looks I've got it right or not. I think that that is the correct solution, though. It felt very logical and it felt incredibly beautiful. My goodness me. It was just, I mean, it's just so elegant. The use of parity and the way it was hidden, at least from me, was really clever. And there were several like little tricks that you could use as well to sort of inch your way further into the puzzle. I loved the fact that, you know, you could, once you got the 8 here, you could actually place the 9 in the entry. Things like that were just, they're just icing on the cake. Really, really cool puzzle. I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know in the comments. I do enjoy them, especially when they're kind. And we'll be back later with another edition of Cracking the Cryptic.